Hi, hello everybody.
Hi.
How
Hello.
are you all?
Hi, Juzbi. Hi, Malobika.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Very good evening, everybody, and a warm welcome to the season finale of Coffee Conversations with Women on Wealth. Let me start by giving you a brief introduction of Women on Wealth. We are a women centric community where we give financial education so that women learn to take care of themselves financially, empower themselves, and be leaders in their own lives. Today, we have very special guests, Jusbi Walia and Malobika Chakravarti with us. I am Apeksha Patel, and today I just decided to tag along with Davira and Jyoti because being the final episode of Women on Wealth. So, welcome everybody once again.
Thank you, Apeksha. So before we begin our evening, I want to briefly talk about our theme for today, which is financial literacy only about generating wealth, or is it about changing your whole outlook towards your life? I believe financial literacy definitely teaches you how to generate wealth, but at the same time, it changes your entire outlook towards your life. It changes your perspective. It gives you immense confidence. And soon you start noticing that confidence not only in this department, but in other areas of your life. If I have to look at this whole concept from my life's point of view, then I would say before Women on Wealth, or before I got involved in this whole money thing in my life, I was a shy and underconfident woman who had absolutely no idea of how to look after my money, how to generate wealth. I stayed away from money conversations. I hated reading the newspaper. I had no idea about any investment. Though I always had a yearning to learn something new, but yet that yearning was never towards learning something in the money department. Until Women on Wealth happened in my life, and when I look at myself today, I see a changed human being. How I see this confident person whose mindset and attitude towards money has changed, a person who has started to respect money a lot more, a person who gets very excited about spending her birthday shagan on stocks, a person whose belief system has changed a lot. I call myself an intelligent human being who has the capacity to understand, learn, and talk about a hell of a lot more things than I could do before. At the same time, I see my confidence growing in many, many more areas of my life. My relationships have changed. I'm able to voice my opinion openly and confidently. And trust you me, I would have never thought before that I could be a host of a coffee conversation setup like this, where every week I would come and hold a friendly conversation with different people. So, coming back to the theme, I want to tell the women out there who are listening to us that financial literacy not just changes your outlook towards money, but it also changes your outlook towards your life. And all you have to do is take that first step, and you will be able to see the changes in your life. And that is my guarantee to you. On that note, let's start the evening. Welcome, Jusvi and Malabika, to Coffee Conversations with Women on Wealth. And can you please introduce yourself? I'll tell a little bit about yourself to the audience. So, Jusvi?
Sure. So, I'm a yoga teacher and an entrepreneur. I'm just starting my business. Um, so basically, I used to be a communications consultant. And I had really long hours at work. I used to work 10, 12 hours over, few years that I've been in Abu Dhabi, and the Bira knows that because every day I used to come with like things to talk about and how stressful it is, etc. And then um, last December, I got my teacher training certificate. I transitioned from being a PR communication consultant to a yoga teacher and someone who's setting up her business. And just going back into our money conversation. So this idea of enrolling into WOW came about at the time when I had just resigned from my work, and I was thinking of what else could I do, not only in terms of just a new job, but what do I do with my life? And I had a bit of a pause moment, and I knew that I always wanted to, get into understanding stocks, investments. For me, it was all Greek. I used to look at CNBC and those stocks going up and down, BS, those charts. It was literally Greek to me. I used to look at it and think, oh my God, like I have no understanding of what that even means. And I just didn't have the time. I think that's where I was coming from. I wanted to learn. I knew that that's one area of my life where I actually have no idea about. And, being adult, working adult, in my 30s, it was kind of embarrassing not to know how to work your money or not to know how to create wealth, and I just didn't have the time, and whatever little inclination I had was also not a lot. But when I decided to quit my job, I had this pause. And it's funny because when I had that mind space or that blank space where I could think a little bit more about my life, and this kept coming up in my head that I need to just start to understand how things work. How do investments work? What do I do with my money once I get a salary, and where do I invest it in? Once I started thinking, I still didn't take any active decision. It was just within that time frame. One of my friend, Deepthi, she called me. She spoke about Women on Wealth. She spoke about how it helped her, how much she's learned from it. She still thinks I mean, we all are still learning all of that stuff, but it was really that time when I entered Women on Wealth, which is last year. And since then, I've been part of this community. And what can I say? It's just been really good to keep learning and having such an incredible support system.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you for that. Malavika, can you please introduce yourself?
Sure, Jyoti. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of the Coffee Conversation finale. It's great to be here chatting with all you wonderful women. A bit about myself. I'm Malavika Chakravarti. I'm a book editor, a rock painter, and a proud member of the WOW community of women. A bit about my professional journey. I started my journey into the publishing industry back in 2010. I started off as a copy editor and then moved to development editing and finally to acquisitions and project management, which is my current role.
Okay.
So it's been 10 years for me in the publishing industry. I've worked across editorial roles and functions and have had the opportunity to work with some very reputed publishers. Guys, that's a bit about my professional journey. And now comes the interesting part about the rock painting. How it started was one fine day, I was just sitting and browsing through Pinterest, looking for some DIY crafts to decorate the house. And I came across these wonderful pieces of painted rocks. And I got really excited and inspired to try them out myself. And I picked up a couple of rocks and painted them. And I was just so overwhelmed with joy by how I could transform otherwise plain piece of rock into something so beautiful, a work of art. That I kept at it. And after a while, I also started giving them away as gifts to my friends and family. And I saw that it not only brought me happiness, but it also brought them joy, the people who were receiving them as gifts. After a point of time, some of my friends approached me and said, Malavika, would you paint a couple of pieces extra for us and we'll be ready to pay you for that? And interestingly, at that point of time, I was also doing the WOW Management program, where in the program, I had these wonderful women who were running their own businesses. I got the idea that why not I give it a try too. So that's how the idea behind my small business venture, M's Rocks, came to me. And it's been operational for a year now. And we've painted more than 200 pieces of customized commissioned rocks. And it just gives me happiness to be able to spread joy to people. So that's a bit about myself. Thank you.
You know, those rocks at the back there.
Yeah, you can see my
yeah.
passions, books, as well as rocks back there.
I can vouch for the rock because I love the way Malavika has captured my dog on the rock. I mean, it's beautiful. It was a gift to my husband and he loved it.
It was an absolute pleasure painting that piece for you, Jyoti. Just thank you.
You know, I'm so glad that you actually said it. Sorry, what's that? Just say again.
I was just saying that we have to see the rock now after all this built up. I want to see it on screen.
Yeah, no, but so I follow your page on Facebook, and I've been checking out all your rocks, and it's, I think, by far the most creative thing I've seen. It's so nice and surprisingly very soothing to watch, the end result of a rock sitting there with these nice paintings. So I'm so glad that you spoke about it, because I was definitely going to, ask you about it
Thank
later.
you so much, Divya. That's so sweet of you. And art is something that I believe it brings joy to the one who creates it, as well as to people who look at it. So it's dual benefit that way.
Absolutely. And it's one of those talents that, if you've got it, you're just very lucky. I don't have an artistic touch, so I believe whoever's got it is
We all
very
are
lucky.
artists in our own way, Divya. The creativity might manifest in a different way for you than it does for me, but trust me, we all have that creativity inside of us.
Wow, that's so nice of you to say that. I wanted to ask you both a question, and I have a little bit of a story at the back of it. And this is something that Jyoti, Apeksha, and I had spoken about offline. And, just a couple of weeks ago, I had gone out before COVID times. I had gone out for a party, and we were just, everybody was there. We were a whole bunch of people. And naturally, what happened was that the guys kind of got together and started discussing the US stock market, and how the Netflix and Amazon and everyone else is coming out with this new kind of content, new strategies, and how it's changing. And it was very interesting to overhear that conversation, because I was clearly in the other side of the room, and the conversation among the women was very different. It ranged all the way from fashion to kids to careers to various topics. But they kind of just were at this one topic, and they hashed out what is the future of their stock portfolio, what should we invest in, which companies are going to be going into other new things to watch out for, and ranging all from there. And then I came into Women on Wealth soon after, and this kind of became a topic that hung out there, that why is it that when men get together, they automatically discuss investments and stocks and the future of finances, whereas for us women, we discuss a wide range of topics, which is great because our knowledge is much more and our experience is much more. But why do we not discuss this one aspect, which at the end of the day is the foundation of our well-being and is the foundation of our future? So I want to ask you this question: is it something that you've experienced, that have you had conversations with your women friends about investments outside of the wow community? And if yes, great, how has that happened? And if not, why do you think it's not the case? So Jisbi, should we start with you?
Sure. I mean, it is interesting that you brought it up, and it's really true. I haven't had any conversations with any of my friends outside the WoW community, and I just feel that all my friends, most of them, not all, we just haven't ever spoken about it, and we never spoke about. We have spoken about careers and ambition and our dreams, but money has not come into play. And I think somewhere down the line, there are a couple of reasons. Firstly, I feel that in general, um, you're just brought up thinking, okay, that's something you don't really have to deal with as long as you can, pursue your career, have your goals. A lot of us, I won't obviously generalize it, but from my little part of the world where I come from, we just never felt that, that's something that we will have to bear. Like, how do we generate wealth? Thinking about savings, thinking about all of that, it was just something, your parents are taking care of it, you get married, automatically your husband would take care of it. At least that's the school of thought. And I know things are changing a lot. I think things are changing with every generation. Within our generation, I don't think a lot of people embody this thought that I have, but within my limited circle of friends that I have, it wasn't something we consciously spoke about. It's a lot to do with society, like I said, how we grow up, what kind of stereotypes are built into the way we are supposed to look at life ahead. Um, and frankly, I don't think a lot of my male friends also invest in stocks. I wouldn't say that everybody does. But I do feel that whenever there's a conversation about um, what's happening in the world at large, something related to, the market, even if they're not invested in it, it's just a very boys' talk. After coming to Abu Dhabi, I've obviously met people from all over the world, from different nationalities. So now I don't see that in my personal space. I see a lot more women who actually are better equipped to talk about it. And amongst our friend circle, they're looking at those women and saying, hey, listen, you work in fintech, or you work in funding, or you work very closely with hedge funds. What do you think about it? So now my reality has changed. I don't see this trend in my life so much, but for the most of my life I would feel that segregation that you spoke about. And I think that's why coming here, having these conversations, having a community like Women of Wealth is so important, because firstly, it brings you this question comes into your head, firstly, that you don't even question. Second, you start to wonder, why do you need to participate, whether it's important for you or no.
Right.
And then you dig into, okay, now that I think this is important for my life, for my own empowerment, for my own way of being self-reliant, that's when you start going into the nitty gritty details and start learning and get into the process, find it super messy, overwhelming, all of that stuff, come out of it feeling a little bit more inspired, intelligent. So it's a whole process, but it's really the right conversation to have as a starting point.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. That's actually very true. I kind of resonate with a lot of stuff that you've said. Malopika, what about you? What's your thought on this?
I have similar experiences as Jusbi has shared. Like, in spite of being in a job for like more than 10 years now, I was in a well-paying job, but somehow money conversations were never a part of my life. Call it the value systems that we've been brought up on, in families also. We talk about literature, we talk about education, we talk about music, but somehow money conversations never. Uh, it's only after joining Women on Wealth when I discussed my money problems. We all have money problems, small or big, but trust me, we all have. So after I joined the community and I participated in discussions with women from all walks of life, I realized that, interestingly, there's a trend. We all have similar problems. We might work in different industries, or we might come from different walks of life. But there are 3 or 4 issues that our money problems are revolving around. So that's when I realized that maybe if we make a habit of discussing it more in our friend circles with women, we'll realize that we're not alone. Before joining the community, I was also hesitant. I had money problems in my life, but who would I talk to? Sometimes it's also the feeling that you don't want to be judged when nobody else is talking about money and you're the one that brings you up. You don't want to be looked at as someone who's money minded, because essentially the value system has taught us that being money minded is bad. So that's also one thing. And secondly, Davira, there is also something about awareness here, that someone starts talking about money to me, but I'm not aware enough to engage in that conversation further. So that might also be a barrier in case of women. So we would rather talk about, retail therapy, or we would talk about our relationship troubles, but not money troubles, because we don't know how to engage in an active conversation about money.
True. And I think when you say troubles, I think that's one of the points which comes out for me, that in general, we don't discuss our problems or the troubles that we are having. So the minute we say money troubles, we are anyways not going to discuss that. So that's a step away. But you're right, our upbringing is such that we don't, naturally, we will not discuss financial things because we'll always feel we don't know enough. So
yeah, I agree too. I think it just doesn't come naturally to us, that maybe now it's coming naturally to almost all of us because we're more aware and we know what's going on. But to be very honest, before Women on Wealth, even it's talking about sex talks or anything for that matter never just came naturally to me either. So I can relate with your points.
And like, you had mentioned once that we now do conversations, but still an entire conversation, like men can go around the entire holistic approach when it comes to conversations. We somehow, after a point, we don't know what to say. That still happens. Like, they can connect the dots. For us, we still need to uh, get to there. Like, we still have to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Okay.
tell me, Malobika, uh, do you think financial education only improves your money life, or it also helps you change your outlook?
Apeksha, it's the other way around, I think. Only when my outlook towards life changes will long term wealth creation happen and my money life improve. For
Mhm.
instance, say when I'm aware of my needs versus wants,
Yeah.
when I become a conscious spender,
Mhm.
I don't necessarily stop spending, but I start thinking what is the value I'm getting for the money I'm spending? Is it worth it? Is something worth it? Is it my need versus my want? And do I really want to keep up with the Joneses or think about long term wealth creation? Like we say in the community, do we want to go for immediate gratification versus long term wealth creation? So that can only happen when my outlook towards money changes, and the outlook in my life, when it changes, only then long term wealth creation will happen or my money life will improve. So it's the other way around is what I feel.
Yeah, rightly put, actually. What do you think, Jisvi?
Yeah, I completely agree with her. For me, it has changed so many things in my life. Firstly, starting with, I just think I'm a very, to myself, I think I'm a more interesting person. I have more things to talk about. I have more things to think about, and it just opens up another area in your life that you are looking into your range of things that you are interested in, the way you're engaging with life in whatever things that you're doing. It just opens up. So I mean, that's depth. I mean, I just find that depth has come in. Secondly, it's really helping me in my business, because when I'm doing, again, I'm just a very new stock investor. I am still learning. I've just started this journey. But since I have started this journey already, I can see that I'm just being able to connect dots. The how I'm approaching my business, how I want it to grow, in what ways I want revenue streams to come in. I can look, if I can analyze it based on the way I'm analyzing stocks, based on the ways I'm analyzing companies, based on the ways I am finding how are these the companies that I want to invest in, how are they navigating hurdles and challenges, how are they entering, using opportunities, and you can see the patterns, and that patterns play up in your life. And in general, I feel that no matter you know whatever area of expertise or field that you study in and you go into it deep, you will always find cross section, that connection between your work life or anything else that you're doing. There's always intersection between all the areas that you're engaged in. They always connect, so if I'm doing a business, my money life will come into play, not just into creating wealth, but how I grow my business. I remember when I was working in consultancy, a lot of what I used to do in terms of theater and communication used to come when I used to present, or I used to do courses on time management or productivity on the side, like online courses. Those would come in, and those would come in for things like, one of my client would ask me in a board meeting, how do we do navigate this challenge? I would use like a time management concept, which has nothing to do with this brand, but I could tie it together and say, why don't we do it this way? Similarly, with money life, you just get that skill of being able to analyze things a little bit more critically and apply it in all areas of your life. And the other thing is, which I would like to say, is that at the end of the day, I think we all are driven by short-term motivations. It's just the way our human brain is wired, like our prefrontal cortex. What I've understood about that is that we can't look at long term gratifications and benefits and then get motivated. So yes, I will not be inspired to every day, go and read about stocks or figure out what's happening in the market just because I want to grow my retirement fund. That is too long term a goal for me to get excited about, even though principally I know, logically, intellectually I know. So the way it worked for me was I had to see what is it that I wanted to feel at this point, which I wasn't feeling. What was something in my life that, because we are all driven by feelings, right? So like I feel a lot of joy when I connect with my loved ones, with my close friends. So for me, connection is really important. I need to see my friends few times a week, talk to my parents every second or third day. It's very important. Similarly, I realized that I had this need of feeling more confident, intelligent, and empowered in this space that I wasn't feeling. There was this, and this is the feeling I wanted to generate. I wanted to feel more intelligent and confident. And so that was a motivation for me to go into it. And this is the motivation that keeps me coming back to it again and again, because it gives me that feeling that I'm looking for. And so it then doesn't, it's not just about retirement plan or savings, which is important. At the end of the day, we all have to make our, some whoever has children, send them to good schools and colleges, and there are real stuff that we are working on here. But more than that, it's also the motivation and the feeling that you want to generate. So I don't know what your question was, but I just wanted to say this.
No, it was awesome.
I have no idea what the question.
But I find myself more intelligent now, so
Yeah, really. Like I
That's
also
it.
was like thinking about the whole feeling aspect that you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, that's actually an interesting dimension to this whole thing.
Yes. And it's all about what brings joy to you, right? You kind of forget what you want to do in the long term, but if it's giving you happiness right now, you can sustain it for longer.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jyoti, you are on mute.
Sorry. So, Jyoti, tell me something. What role, according to you, does a community play in shaping your money life?
I think it just gives you a sense of community is really important. I think in whatever we do in life, I feel this is something that, whether you want to start your own business, whether you want to, be at the top of your corporate career or money life or any hobby that you take on, doing it alone for some time is good, but to sustain it, to keep you at it, you need some kind of community, and everybody's wired differently. So for some people, it's an internal accountability. They're more, and some people want outer accountability. So we all wired differently based on our personalities, but most of the people always benefit from it, because at the end of the day, you get inspired from each other, right? So uh, a couple of sessions ago, I heard the Bira saying that, I spoke to Priyanka and I hadn't done my net worth sheet that day. It was and she said, and the Bira said, I'm going to do it later. I'm too tired and I just spent the whole day with my daughter. It's like 11 o'clock. I can always do it tomorrow. And then apparently Priyanka must have said that, this is a relationship with your money. It's not something that you want to take casually. Like that's the consistency and discipline you build. And so she did it, and I wasn't doing it for a couple of months, and I heard that and I got inspired, and that's what the community does. It's like if people are taking it so diligently, if people are doing it so consistently, and everybody has something going on in their lives, so why can't I? Because my goals are the same, my aspirations are the same. I also want to generate money, but here are a few people who are doing it consistently. So what is it that they're doing that I can also do, so that I'm also consistent? So that's the kind of inspiration it gives you. And of course, the knowledge sharing, that's huge. Sometimes I don't even go to the news portals. I literally use the WhatsApp group as my news portal to see what's the latest.
That's actually so true. Yeah. Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
very
Sorry.
true. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so that's what it is, outer accountability and information sharing, and that's really huge, I think.
Thank you for that, Jyoti. Malavika, what's your take on this?
It's similar to what Jusbi has already shared, Jyoti. To me,
Yeah.
the community is just a space where I can be vulnerable about my fears, about my money life. I can openly share what has worked for me, what mistakes I've made, and vice versa. When I share, my community learns, and when the community members share, I learn. So that's how we leverage each other's knowledge and experiences. Also, I know that once I share openly with the community, I will not be judged. So it's given me a non judgmental and safe space. And that's very important. As we say, that even in our relationships, you need a friend who you can openly talk to. And here you have an entire community that's there to support you, guide you, and motivate you. That day when Priyanka shared that she's attained financial independence, I was just so motivated that if Priyanka can do it, so can I. And we're all human beings, so there will be instances where something's not working out for us in personal lives or any other sphere of life, and we are not able to actively pursue the financial goals. Then being in a community helps me get back on track. I read all these wonderful women sharing stories on how they have been keeping at it in spite of going through everything that they have. And it makes me think that if they can do it, everyone has problems in their lives, everyone has setbacks, but still they have overcome that. They have not let the setbacks define them. So what's stopping me? And I have all these people to just guide me and motivate me, and I learn from them, they learn from me. And that's the beauty of the community, just a safe open space to be vulnerable and to share.
Very
That's very
nice.
true.
What has been your greatest takeaway from all this, from your experience with Women on Wealth?
Diksha, before joining Women on Wealth, as I shared, I had been a professional for almost 8 years. I was in well paying jobs, but I was not happy with my money life. I had a couple of home loans, personal loans, and also loans on my LIC policies. So it was all jumbled up, and I could not see a future ahead. Where was I going in terms of my money life? I'm earning, but the money is not showing up in my life. So what can I do differently? And it was causing so much of stress and anxiety that it had also started affecting my health. And at that point of time, Women on Wealth happened to me, and I did the money gym program as well as the stocks investing program, and then I entered the community. And what the biggest thing it gave me was a confidence that I'm doing all right. And with the skills that I have, if I keep on working on my money life, I have the ability to realize my goals. It's not that tough. And also getting a roadmap, this is my goal and I know I can reach there, but what is the roadmap that I have to follow? That is also one big takeaway that I had from being in the community. The third thing, I'm a big believer in lifelong learning. I always think that, okay, I've learned this much, but what else? What more can I learn? And being with a group of women investors is a lifelong learning in itself. So that's also another takeaway that I have, that I found like-minded people who believe in the same things as I do.
Agree. How about you, Jusby? What do you think has been your biggest takeaway from this experience?
So I think the biggest takeaway for me has been that this, the law of compounding that we, know about, that in our finances actually works in our lives too, and I've experienced that. So just like how it adds, the rate of acceleration is so much higher as you keep investing and keep growing your money. Similarly, when it comes to your own learning about your finances, learning about anything, it starts off with feeling very messy, feeling a little bit all over the place, depending on how engaged you have been before. If you've been someone like me, which started from minus, it's very messy from the beginning. And then you go through this process of feeling overwhelmed, and anything new, it's a typical journey of anything new, any new skill that you try to acquire. And then you get a little bit of clarity here and get there, you start getting a little bit of confidence, and then you start building on that. And then once that foundation is set, then everything else that you keep engaging with, whether it's reading about stuff that's going on in the market, or you start learning how to connect the dots, and that starts coming much easier to you. So you find that growth in yourself, and the quicker, the more, things that become much quicker by the end of it. The way you connect dots, the way you're able to read annual reports, the way you're able to, understand maybe this ratio doesn't, I'm just going into nitty gritty things, but like this ratio may not be applicable here. You start using your mind a little bit more. You start challenging the things that you may have been taught, because it's a very dynamic industry, and and this program is always updating itself to keep up with the times. So you may want to revisit some things and update it for your own self, or ask the community member, here I think differently. So that compounding effect that happens with you as a person, and how quickly you become better and better, and the rate of acceleration that you experience in your own understanding of things, in your own application of things, is something that I've started to experience, and that's been my biggest takeaway. So I would say that, even if you feel it's overwhelming, even if you feel you don't have time and all those excuses, just starting where you are right now, whatever that may be, and just devoting little bit. When I started, my only goal was that I'll just read one news, besides doing the program. I'll just read one stock market related article every day, and that's all I'll do. I don't need to read 10. I don't need to, if just one is fine, and that's a successful day for me. And that's where I started. And then it just became so much on its own. The rate, I didn't even have to try. It became almost effortless. So so I just feel that it's not that tough. It's overwhelming at the beginning, but it's amazing how just putting little, the compounding effect, the way it goes, it really adds up to your life and your investments too.
With me, I have experienced something similar. So 4 years back, I told myself I want to read the newspaper every day, the Economic Times. It used to take me like 3 to 4 hours in the morning. I would just keep reading, unable to connect things. I would still try and read, then I will get lost and then again read. And now that point has come. Within half an hour or 45 minutes, I can skim through the entire thing and take everything that I can. But that is the power of compounding, that now, actually, after reading so much for so long now, things just connect and come back easier to you than it used to come earlier, where when it feels really hard. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is a very important point that you touched on, being overwhelmed, because I think a lot of us, we do feel overwhelmed. And the idea that you've given of just doing one article a day, I think a lot of people will resonate with that. So that, thank you both for sharing your thoughts and your views. They were truly very, very inspiring. And I think a very apt closure to our season one, because you've kind of consolidated a lot of points that we all believe in, we all know, but we just like them, reiterated every now and then. So I have to confess, firstly, that I was going to give a little bit of a conclusion and kind of just put the main highlights out. But while I heard you both talk, I completely changed it. So I'm going to try and pull this off impromptu, and so please forgive me if I mess something up. So I thought that it was very important for us to kind of consolidate all our learnings that we've had in this season. And a lot of women have have had similar experiences and have felt similar emotions. So this is for everybody watching. This is for everybody who's part of the community and everybody who's not and is wanting to be part of the community. So a couple of points here are that the importance of defining your goals. And that's the big thing that we all learn, because sometimes we work without goal definings, and we're just like aimless people walking around and doing things. So the importance of defining goals, not only for your financial life, but for your life in general. I think it can bring a lot of value to you. Then the second point is the importance and the value of shared responsibilities. This is something that Priyanka had touched on in the session that she had come on. And again, I just speak about that a little bit, is that when you have a goal, when you are working as a unit, if you are working independently, great, then your goal is your goal to achieve. If you are working in a family as a unit, If your goals are shared and your responsibilities are shared, the outcome is going to be multifold. So it is so important for you and your loved ones to be able to have a clear and defined goal so that you can actually divide up your work and multiply the efforts and actually benefit from it and see the results. A lot of us feel, especially women, that when we are working, we are independent women and we are financially independent. Working, non-working, everybody has the right to feel financially independent and very secure in the way your household is laid out, which is absolutely great. But if the same goal is being, A to Z of the work is being done by 4 different individuals of the house, it's actually duplication of work. So if you just combine your thoughts, if you combine your, the end goal and you combine your responsibilities, you will be able to achieve much more. Then the third one was having clean, uncomplicated relationships. And this is coming from the point of all of the times we've asked all of you people about how your relationships have changed post doing the courses. Now, clearly, we've come to the conclusion that the financial education, financial literacy is the backbone of any household. So if you are literate, you are empowered, and first and foremost, you will be able to have a clean relationship with yourself. If you're able to do that and you're able to face your fears, which for me was actually understanding my bank accounts and how many I have and how they are laid out, you face your fears, you clear them out, you get educated, you've already kind of started on the journey of clearing up your relationships, which only will help you uncomplicate a lot of other relationships in your life and give you a holistic, fulfilling life, and which you're more secure about, and it removes insecurity. So for me, I think that was a big takeaway, that the value that we don't give to our relationships and we should give. And of course, one of our favorite ones from Jyoti, Apeksha and myself, start early, start young. And what Jusbi's also said, and understand the value of compounding. We spoke about it in the last session, that how it can help if you have a 20-year horizon versus a 30-year horizon. The effect is much more, it completely changes the dynamics of your finances. And that's one thing you would not have to worry about, God forbid something was to happen or another pandemic was to happen. So, it's start early basically and spread the word. And the finally and most important thing is leverage and value your community. So in the 16 weeks, there has not been one episode also where at least one of our guests has not said the biggest takeaway or biggest impact Women on Wealth has had for them is the community support. So it is a common feeling amongst the community members. And if everybody is feeling this, then clearly we have something in our community which we all need to be thankful and proud of. And I feel that, getting educated financially is step one. Then having a support system which is open for you to answer all of your worrying questions. Like today morning, there was a conversation about the bonds. Is it good time, not good time? I mean, how many of us do have that support system outside of the community where we can have this conversation? There were questions, do you think it's a good time, not a good time? And views came in. We made our own individual decisions. We don't have that space. If you don't have a support system, it's very difficult to walk down a path which has not been walked for you. So that is the last point I wanted to come to, is the community. We've all taken our first step of getting financially educated. Now we need to take the final leap by actually taking value from the community and providing value to the community. So with that, I think I've pretty much covered up most of the points that I would want to from season 1. And just a small last thing is that our community on Women on Wealth is the foundation where we aim to help women become financially empowered, more educated, and eventually free. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to Priyanka for giving us this forum. I never thought I would be hosting this coffee conversations ever. So thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for all of you women who agreed to come on board and actually share your journeys with the rest of us. And thank you to Malobika and Jusbi. And finally, big thank you to Apeksha and Jyoti for being a great team.
You did an excellent job of concluding this season. It couldn't have been better. Like you had actually
that was an awesome conclusion, Zavira. Good job.
And an impromptu one.
Yes.
No, it was just actually, I just felt like when Malobika and Jusbi were talking, they kind of, it was so much more than just the financial education. So I thought we have to close it by giving everybody the 360-degree view so that, you know, there's something that you all can think about when we are not online.
Okay.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Malobika. Thank you, Jusbi, for coming to us season 1 finale. And yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, guys.
Great chat with you all. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye.